That's his daddy up there. Buck. What an astounding man he was. Once upon a time, at Wayne State University, in my senior year, I was offered an opportunity to go to Chicago University, a full ride, to study with John Hope Franklin. Fool that I was. I turned it down.
Oh.
I was already employed at Wayne State University. And back then, I guess what, it was $8,000 a year you're making? I said, why should I be going off to get a degree? I'm already making $8,000 a year. Wrong. But I had the opportunity later on in life to meet John Hope Franklin and interview him on a couple of occasions. I didn't know that much about his father. But later on, when he put his book out and also worked with his father and his son, Buck Franklin's grandson, on his memoirs. And here, he's come in from Rentonville. And Rentonville, I guess some of you who know your Oklahoma geography very well know that. What other famous writer came out of Rentonville? Oh, I didn't hear anything.
That woman, Tony something.
Well, you know, you can have Ralph Ellison, who's another fine writer, Oklahoma writer, right? So here, Buck is there in a makeshift, his office has been destroyed. So he has to set up in all his library books, a few that he was able to salvage, you know, from his office. And he's setting up here, beginning to litigate, you know, for those people who have had their homes lost. And you know, if you study this history, you know the difficulty, particularly Black Americans face, in terms of getting any kind of compensation or reparations, any kind of insurance, any kind of rebuilding, you know, as a result of this devastation. But Buck is set up to make sure that some of those legalities coming from the state even, that are going to prohibit, you know, the money being going back to Black Americans to stabilize their lives. So he said, no way. He stepped in, boom. That particular prohibition was erased, only because of his genius. That was Buck Franklin. Later on, we're going to have Buck in papers that they recently discovered. It's amazing that all these many years that what he had written down back in 1921 is just now being uncovered. That's again kind of indicative of the kind of erasure, the kind of eradication of our history and our culture, particularly loss. You know, so now the African American Museum down in Washington, D.C., they have a copy of that paper that Buck pulled together then. And parts of it can be found in his memoir, particularly as he talks about the planes that flew over Tulsa at that time and dropped the incendiary barrels on these buildings. Now again, there's a lot of controversy on that. You know, was Tulsa actually bombed? Mm-hmm. Was Tulsa actually the first city to be bombed, you know, in this country? A lot of discussion on that, but if you have 2 or 3 eyewitnesses, including Buck Franklin, and of course Mary Parrish,
yes,
and the stuff that she pulled together, along with, you know, 3 or 4 other historians have eyewitness accounts that people said they actually saw it happening. But when the commission pulled together this report, they kind of like, we have to kind of soft pedal that one and tiptoe around it. So it's not explicitly said, even in the commission, that they were bombed. But we do have these eyewitness accounts, and one coming from Buck Franklin, who had unimpeachable integrity. I have no reason to refute or doubt his impressions of what he experienced and saw. Again, another page from out of the book, and from out of that report, back in now 2001. And many people feel that that particular report is pretty much definitive in terms of amassing all of the evidence and information that heretofore had not been available.